Nia Jax is one of the most dominant female superstars in WWE today. The size and strength she possesses in the ring has certainly worked for her, as after 2 years on the main roster, she won her first championship, winning the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania 34 from Alexa Bliss. Though a competent enough wrestler, lately she's been at the centre of controversy for causing a number of injuries to other wrestlers. Her stiff and at times sloppy execution of moves has gained infamy backstage with other WWE wrestlers and WWE officials, and some hatred from wrestling fans across the world due to her reckless behaviour in between the ropes. Now, don't get us wrong, we certainly understand that accidents and injuries are just as common as bad promos in WWE, and while every wrestler isn't regarded as being perfect, the amount of injuries she has caused just over the last year is cause for concern. If it's due to her inexperiences compared to other women on the roster and possible ignorance, this is an issue that WWE needs to address before someone is critically injured. On this list, we look at all the WWE superstars Nia Jax has recently injured. Number 1. Ember Moon. On the December 3rd, 2018 episode of Raw, Ronda Rousey teamed up with Ember Moon as a last-minute replacement for Natalya and squared off against the team of Nia Jax and Tamina in that night's main event. An injury wasn't made apparent during the match, but after the show that night on Twitter, indie wrestler Matthew Palmer, who is Ember Moon's husband, tweeted on Jax's unsafe habits in the ring. "Hope this unsafe moron doesn't hurt my wife again." The tweet was quickly deleted, but it's clear what he was referencing. Now, an injury wasn't officially reported by WWE, but superstars are known to working through injuries in order to continue wrestling. So it's possible that Moon was hurt or was worried about her push being taken away from her. Number 2. Bayley. As one half of the Boss and Hug connection, Bayley is one of the most beloved superstars in the WWE, possessing an incredible connection with young WWE fans. She too has unfortunately been the victim of Jax's recklessness in the ring. After capturing the Raw Women's title from Charlotte Flair, her reign as champion came to an end after being defeated by Alexa Bliss at WWE's Payback pay-per-view. Ever since losing the title, Bayley tried her best by climbing up the proverbial ladder to get another shot at the title, and finally, after a few months, she managed to become number 1 contender again and was set to face Bliss at SummerSlam in a chance to regain the title. However, this match was never to be, as on the 31st July 2017 edition of Monday Night Raw, Bayley faced Nia Jax in a standard one-on-one match. During the match, Jax threw Bayley out of the ring with such force that it resulted in her landing on her shoulder even before hitting the outside mat. Despite feeling sore, Bayley continued the match, clearly in pain. When she managed to get back in the ring, Jax came off the ropes for a shoulder tackle, but this time it was even more obvious that something was wrong. She managed to finish the match and win via countout, but immediately required medical attention. WWE's Dr. Chris Amon told, "We've determined the injury is shoulder related, and she will be going under further diagnostic testing later this week to determine the extent of the injury and also establish a timetable for recovery." Consequently, due to the injury, Bayley would be unable to compete for a month, missing her championship match at SummerSlam and costing WWE one of the biggest feuds going into the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Number 3. Selena Vega. Selena Vega is the business associate / manager of SmackDown Live superstar Andrade, but occasionally she will compete on the blue brand as an active superstar in the women's division or team up with Andrade in mixed matches. We recently had a chance to see Vega wrestling as part of the 30 Women Royal Rumble match, but before that, she wrestled at the first ever all-women's WWE pay-per-view Evolution, as she competed in the Battle Royal to determine a number 1 contender for the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship at the TLC pay-per-view. Vega was one of the last remaining few superstars in the ring, as she managed to ally with Jax in order to remain in the Battle Royal as long as possible. But similar to a Royal Rumble, it's every man or every woman for themselves, so it was no surprise that their partnership was short-lived, as Jax would turn on Vega, picking her up with a gorilla press and dumping her to the outside. Those that saw the landing knew it wasn't a soft one, as Vega fell face first onto the mat below. This resulted in a post-match concussion. The concussion wasn't confirmed by WWE, but it was made apparent since she missed a month's worth of television. Number 4. Charlotte Flair. Another female superstar, but this time against one of the WWE's biggest superstar of its women's division at the time. Flair is undoubtedly WWE's most polished gem, as she has proved on a number of occasions that she is championship material and is very deserving of such a spot. But her wrestling days nearly came to an abrupt end after suffering 2 major mistakes from Nia Jax during a match on Monday Night Raw. On the April 10th, 2017 edition of Raw, both Jax and Flair had a disagreement, which would lead to a match later in the night. All was going well until Flair, who was known for her diving moonsault in or out of the ring, was ready to perform it on Jax. The plan was for Jax, who was recovering on the outside, to catch Flair midair while she performed the move. Jax, who had seemed to have forgotten the spot, didn't manage or look to attempt to even catch her. This led to Flair hitting Jax's head with a boot, knocking her down and landing face first onto the mat below. Luckily, Flair was able to continue, but this led to another mistake in the ring. Jax would go for a shoulder breaker where Charlotte's shoulder was supposed to smash into Jax's knee, but instead she drove Charlotte's head into her knee. Another possible head injury should have critically hurt Flair. She managed to finish the rest of the match, but a lot of wrestling journalists and fans were then skeptical of Jax's skills between the ropes, calling for an NXT return for further polishing. Number 5. Becky Lynch. Probably one of the most notable injuries on this list, as it caused some of the biggest backlash in recent WWE history. After turning quote-unquote heel at SummerSlam and attacking the newly crowned SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, a number of cheers began to erupt as fans were clearly behind Becky Lynch. Probably acknowledging their mistake, WWE awarded Becky the SmackDown Women's Championship at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, where she would eventually head in as champion at the Survivor Series. Instead of a number of traditional survival matches, WWE went with a brand supremacy theme, as a Raw title holder would go one-on-one with a SmackDown title holder. This meant Lynch was set to face Raw champion Ronda Rousey, a match that was highly anticipated. Just before the pay-per-view, however, Raw was being invaded by SmackDown Live's women, with Becky Lynch heading the invasion. All the women charged to the ring, where a mass brawl broke out. During the scuffle, Nia Jax would legitimately punch Becky right in the face, giving the Irish lass kicker a broken nose and a post-match concussion. However, despite her injuries, Lynch stood unfazed by the blow, receiving a roaring approval from the WWE Universe in attendance and those watching at home. WWE took advantage of the incident by turning Nia Jax heel after she boasted about doing it again, feeling no remorse. Lynch did manage to get her own back by slugging her backstage. Brilliant. And number 6. RTruth. This list has not been exclusive to just women. Oh no, even some males have felt the true power of Nia Jax recently. During the 2019 Men's Royal Rumble, RTruth was guaranteed to enter the Rumble at number 30 after both he and Carmella won the second season of the Mixed Match Challenge series at the TLC pay-per-view. As expected, Truth arrived at the number 30 spot, but just before he could do his spiel with the mic, out came Nia Jax, who had just lost the Women's Royal Rumble. In a shocking turn of events, Jax would attack RTruth from behind, knocking him down immediately. She would then furiously throw him straight into the Royal Rumble electronic sign, even damaging it slightly, taking him out as she entered the Rumble. We've seen this spot happen before when a wrestler attacks another wrestler as they enter a match, but it seemed that Nia's onslaught had no limits, as she was a little too harsh with Truth. Jerry Lawler, who was at ringside during the Rumble, discussed on his podcast series a heated aftermath that occurred backstage, as Truth was none too happy about the attack, even causing injury to his ankle. Lawler mentioned, "This got real heat for real. She blasted poor RTruth and knocked him face first into the wall. He was hot, for real hot. They were having to hold him back there. She made it look good." Whilst this was reported by Lawler, it seemed to be a different case backstage, as even after Jax was loving all the heat she was receiving, there was clearly no heat between the two, as she posted a picture of her and RTruth hugging it out, dispelling the rumours of any heat between the two. Even though he might have suffered a small injury during the attack, Truth turned out to be okay as he wrestled on SmackDown Live in not one, but 2 matches, as he won and retained the United States Championship in the same night. But what do you guys think? Is Nia Jax too dangerous in the ring? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.